this is always a dead end, like with jobs. It's not nothing you want to do. Like you want to be wealthy. So I'd rather just leave and go figure out and start my process. Like I'm not scared of failing.
Yeah.
So I fell forward. Like when I start my motivational speaking, that's what I'm gonna start off with. Like I specialize in failing.
Thank you so much for tuning into the Work and Play podcast. I thoroughly enjoy every single one of my guest stories on the podcast, and I nearly get attached to their growth and development even after they're on the show. The only difference is I don't get a chance to share the launch of this episode with Keandre Allums. However, his story was so impactful and it was so in line with the work that I do that I had to release this, and so you guys can see what Keandre's life meant to his family, his audience, and the people around him. So my heart, my prayers, my love goes out to Keandre's family. I do hope that this is a great depiction of your son, your father, your cousin, your brother, your friend for years to come. I thank you. I've been grateful to have Keandre on the podcast with me, and I hope you guys enjoy.
Welcome to another episode of the Work and Play podcast. I'm your host, Ariel Young, and I have a special episode. Like I said, this is going to be a special episode because we typically interview folks who are in corporate America or who have left corporate America to go into entrepreneurship. We talk about life transitions, self-actualization, like career transitions and all that has to do with it. But this young man here, he is miraculously somebody. I'm really interested in tapping into your mindset. And so without further ado, would you like to introduce yourself?
My name is Keandre Allums. I call myself Mr. Quitters Never Win. I have a brand called Evryseason, which represents the mindset to overcome every struggle and obstacle that life throws your way. It's basically just about overcoming all adversity and never quitting. And the brand is called Evryseason. And I'm also a barber, father, 2 sons, a 10-year-old and a 7-year-old. So I'm just an entrepreneur all across the board.
All across the board.
And a motivational speaker.
And a motivational speaker, because not only are you and I in the morning meetup together, but we also we're still in the speakers conference. Yeah. So far, when you think about your journey as a motivational speaker, because I can hear it's a little new, it's a little fresh right now, but like what do you foresee in terms of your speaker's journey so far?
I always just wanted to be somebody growing up. Like, and I used to battle with it a little bit. Like, do you just want to be seen? Do you just want the fame? Do you want the recognition? Like, but now I'm understanding, like, when it comes to like speaking and being a motivational speaker, that I just want to impact somebody's life. And I feel like it's okay for me to want to be somebody in life, because some people don't want to be nobody. So it's like, I just always want to be somebody, and I want to take my pain and the obstacles I've been through and help somebody else to the point they can come back and they be like, oh, Keandre helped me with this, or he helped me get through this, or whatever it may be. So being at the speaker conference and just seeing people do it and touch me, because I know that a lot of people impacted my life. They probably don't even, well, I'm sure it's a lot of people that don't know me that I heard, whether it's YouTube, whether I came to the event, it impacted my life, and I took that message and it motivated me and bettered my life. So I'm just looking to do that for someone else.
Yeah. Well, your story is definitely, we haven't even gotten into the nook and cranny of your story, but let me tell you guys why this is such a crazy episode. One, because I am not talking to like someone who has like been indebted to a company. I'm not talking to somebody who has been like, you know, like I gotta just say indebted. Like your mindset is one that just draw my curiosity. And so the first, not even first, but the conversation that we had that is always gonna stick out in my mind is when we were talking about like our experience in corporate America. Like, well, it was 3 of us, right? And and Chris asked me like, you know, my 2 jobs, and I'm talking about I left and how hard it was for me. And then you chimed in and you're like, look, I've never been at a job long enough to like even feel that type of loyalty. Like I'm the type of person that like, I would leave on the lunch break and never come back.
Yeah.
So much so to the point where you might not even know that they got the last check.
Didn't know.
I said that's like the other extreme of loyalty.
Didn't know I was supposed to pick up my last check.
So we gotta hop into that. Let's start there. What has been your relationship with 9 to 5s over the years?
I really don't have much of a relationship. From being out of high school till now, I've worked three jobs, and I never worked longer than 3 months at none of those jobs. Like, I never seen me being an employee. Like, I feel like in times people probably looked at me crazy or probably thought I was being irresponsible or whatever the case may be. But I just knew that I had to figure out something else in life because this not for me. Like, I didn't even have a certain skill at the time or nothing. I just knew that I wasn't meant to be an employee. I didn't like how it made me feel. I didn't like that you can't go to the bathroom when you want. I didn't like that you got to be here at a certain time. Like, and I just didn't care for that company. It's like, if I'm working security or I'm working at UPS, like I don't really care for this place. So it's like, I'm not gonna be able to do the proper work to even work up to become a supervisor or to become a leader or anything like that in the company because I'm not gonna do the right work. I shortcut everything in corporate work. So I just knew it wasn't for me. I wanted to be an entrepreneur.
I feel you on that. And so before we get deeper into your journey, what do you do currently as an entrepreneur?
I have a clothing brand, like I said. It's called Evryseason. It's a motivational clothing brand, but I'm still building that and trying to get that to where I want to take it, which is to motivate as much people as I can in the world from clothing and through clothing. And but what brings in the money, I'm a barber. And that's another reason why I wasn't interested in working a corporate job or working a job overall, being an employee, because I seen what the barber game can do for me, what the barber industry can do for me. I seen my other friends making a lot of money in barbering, and I became a barber young at 18. But the thing is, when you go to it's steps to becoming a barber. You go to barber school, you got to put in 1,500 hours, which takes it's about a regular school year, about 10 months, 11 months if you miss a couple of days. So you have to go to school, get those hours, then you have to pass your barber test. So with me, that was the problem. I had never passed my barber test. I was going through financial problems when I was in barber school. I barely had enough money to even get to barber school. So a lot of times I would ask the bus driver, can I get on bus? I would sneak on BART. If y'all may not know what BART is, but in the Bay Area, it's like a train. It's like
MARTA for our ATA lanes.
Okay. So I would sneak on BART, and then it's another form of type of train. It's called Caltrain. Then I would sneak on that. And it's funny because they have people on there who check your ticket every stop, but sometimes they do it every other stop. And I only needed 2 stops on that one. So it's if they check my ticket the first stop, then I had to get put off and then get back on just to get there. So now I'm late for school. And when you pass a certain time, sometimes they don't even let you into school or whatever. But that's a whole nother story. So I wasn't financially there in my process of going to barber school. So I owed the school money. And when you owe the school money, they don't send your hours off to state board. State board is where you take your exam at. It's like State Board of California. So they never sent my hours off to state board because I still owed them money. So I had to first save up $1,100 before I even had a chance to take my test, which took some time. I'm young. I'm sort of struggling. Like I was blessed enough to work at a barbershop without my license. Someone blessed me to do that. And
So you're building up your skills there.
yeah, as soon as I got out of school, I actually was working there like while in school because it was like a connection from somebody from my church. So that was a blessing. But I guess just me being young, not in between not being responsible and not making enough money. Like, you know, like, cause now that I'm older, I realized that I could have been putting up like $50 here and there until stack the money to make it.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you if you ever did. So you never did it, or you got your barber's license later?
Yeah, it took
later.
It took. I went through a lot in the process of getting that. That's probably like the biggest part of my story as an adult. Like that's where my brand kind of came from. Like quitters never win.
Yeah.
It took me 8 years to get my barber license. I failed the test 7 times.
Seven times you took it once each year?
No, just throughout. It just happened to work like that. But throughout the 8 years, I took it 7 times. Like I went through so much. Like
what do they test you on the test? Is it like written test?
Yeah, it's a written test and it's a hands-on test. But a lot of people would think like you're just doing a haircut. No, you're doing curls. You're doing what do they call it? You do curls with the curling irons.
Oh, you gotta do it's like
then you do the curls with the rolling thing in the white paper.
Yeah.
Yeah, you gotta do that. You gotta do a shave. You have to do a perm. Like
you have to do a perm?
Yeah.
So tell me, the 7 times you failed, did you mess up somebody's perm?
No, the perm and stuff. It's on a doll head. It's on a doll head.
I'm like,
the only active thing that you're doing on people is the shave.
Okay.
And the haircut.
Okay.
But like I failed it so many times, and the barber curriculum changed. So that was a problem that made it harder for me because like I'm not in school anymore, so I didn't get the update on the new information. Yeah. So like. At first, it was to a point where you needed to get a 75. It was like you can fail the whole written, but you do good enough on the hands-on, and you still pass. So that's how a lot of my peers got their barber license. But it ended up changing within like 2 years after me being out of barber school. So now they mandatory you to get 75 on the hands-on and on the written. So I would go and I would either pass the hands-on and then fail the written, and then I'll go study so hard for the written, pass the written, and then end up missing a couple points on the hands-on.
Dang.
So it's like
transferring points year after year.
So like so much stuff happened. Like my mannequin doll head stand broke. My phone went off one time. I got kicked out.
Oh, okay.
Like just different things happened. Like.
So it was, when you say so much stuff happened, you just saying like in the moment of the test, like just
yeah,
so
like
many
I failed in almost every way you can fail the test.
Dang. So tell me this, why barber school? 8 years, why barbering?
Well, it all started with, as soon as I got out of high school, I had a shift in mindset, like, cause I grew up in the streets and like that was the environment around me. No, I wasn't like the hardcore like gangster or nothing like that, like killing nobody or shooting at nobody or nothing like that, but more on like the hustling side. Like that's what my arena was. I ended up getting shot in 2011, July 7, 2011, and that was a year after I graduated. So like life just hit me different, and I ended up with 4 bullet. I had a button-up shirt on. I had 4 bullet holes through the front and the back of my shirt. But no bullet holes
in your body.
In my body. I only got shot in my leg twice. So nobody can tell me like about God or like God didn't spare my life that day. So like I didn't care if nobody say like, oh, you a punk or you. I really didn't care. Like I was literally perfectly fine with walking away with the lifestyle I had because I knew, like, I'm looking at the shirt in the hospital bed like, how is this even Even when I explain it to some people who probably don't believe in God or heard stories like that, I can look at them in their eyes and tell that they think I'm lying or making up a story or something like that. Like that's how crazy it was. So after,
So you saying you had the 4 shots in your body and one in your leg?
no, I had 4 bullet holes in my shirt.
Okay, so that's
No bullet holes in my body.
no bullet holes in your body. So that's what you meant. I thought you meant that the bullet went straight through your body and that you walked away okay.
No.
Dang.
I never forget it. It was a hot summer day. My shirt wasn't unbuttoned. It was buttoned up. I got out the car. I had like fixed my shirt. Next thing you know, I'm staring down a gun. Shots go off. I ended up with 4 bullet holes in the shirt from the front through the back and didn't get touched with a bullet in my upper body.
It clearly didn't go. Oh, was it like? I'm sure there's a reason behind it, but
Bullet holes
Yeah.
in the front
yeah.
and through the back. I did not get shot here at all.
Yeah, but I'm saying like clearly there was something like that went through, you know. But so, okay, so you say you know.
Basically, to me, that was God showing me like spare my life. Like it's one of those, what they call it, like I can't think of the word right now, but basically God was just showing me like this was supposed to happen or this could have happened, and I didn't allow it to happen. Like some people be trying to say that like, oh, maybe it went through the side. Like no, it was in the middle.
That's
like,
what I'm saying.
It was in the middle. Like,
I
and
hear
there's
you.
4 of them.
Okay.
So it's like after that day, it's like even anytime I ever doubt God, like I think about that. It's like, bro, he literally showed you himself, like personally. So how can you doubt him?
So you said that is what told you don't care if somebody calls you, names or anything. You know that you.
Yeah,
believe in God.
that's where the mindset shift came at. So I just wanted better for myself. I wanted to lead a street life alone. So after getting shot, it was a time where I changed barbers because my barber had like moved. So I met this new barber. He was from LA. He moved to Oakland, and I tried him out. He was cool, and he was like more, a little bit closer to my age. Like I was 18, he was like 24. So he just was a cool guy. Like my dad introduced him to me, and after getting my haircut, I would hang out at the barbershop a lot. Just like instead of going back to the streets and hang out, I just hang around, good energy. And he ended up becoming like my big brother type thing. And it was like a barbershop, and he stayed upstairs in the apartments, like right under the barbershop. So I ended up like spending the night at his house a lot, like almost living there. And one day, on his lunch break, we was at Jack in the Box, and like I said, I'm not hustling anymore, so I ain't have much money. I probably had like $12 in my pocket. So I reached to give him my money for the meal that I ordered, and he like, nah, bro, I got you. And he pulled out his money, and I'm like, damn, bro, like you got to not like you been hustling or something. You make me almost want to go to barber school. I'm just joking. I'm not thinking nothing of it. And then he looked at me. He was like, why not? You're not doing nothing else. And I kind of just got quiet and just went on Google right there in the drive-thru and looked up barber schools. Like, and I'm an ambitious type person. Like, so I just wanted to try something. Like, I wanted to go in some direction. When I went to go look at those schools, I'm not even really thinking that it wasn't all the way there. That's why I tell people you got to just start moving. Like if you're in a stuck space and you don't know what your purpose is or you don't know what you want to do in life, you got to start moving, or it's going to take the process longer.
Yeah.
Because I wouldn't even say I believed all the way that I'll become good or I'll become a barber. I just start moving. And lo and behold, like the first 2 schools, one school had a waiting list. One school said you needed money up front. Of course I didn't have the money. The third school ended up being far from my house, but they had financial aid for me, and they gave me like clippers, a barber kit. So it worked out. And so that's where the mindset shift came from, and that's where the barbering thing came from. And as time went on, as me being in school, I just started to understand it and like it more. It's like you learn about the barber history, and like it was just like hustling, but legally. So it was like I just took what I knew from hustling and put it into that, and it's like you still got your freedom. I can come to the shop when I want, I can leave when I want, make my own hours, charge what I want. So it just worked out.
As long as you're good, Because I know if you're a bad barber, it's your
Bad
clients
barbers
are
even
gonna-
make money.
Oh my goodness.
That's
That's just the industry.
if a bad barber can make money if he in the right shop. Now, if you got your own shop or if the shop already not making money, but even bad barbers gonna make money. You may not make the money that a good barber make, but it's like even broke barbers make money. And what I mean broke, I mean like you don't got as much money as the popping barbers. Like you making money every day.
Yeah.
So even if you only went home with $100 for that day, that's equivalent to some people day shift.
Yeah, $100 a day is not a bad goal. So, because I think that was so when I first became an entrepreneur, that was actually one of my goals. Like, if as long as I made $100 a day, and it would depend on what I was doing. Like, I picked up Lyft. I was just doing different things. I was teaching bar. I was doing a lot of things. But I was like, if you take home $100, it was also an influence of a guy I was dating at the time. But if you take home $100, then that is good. You can't come home without $100. Like that is it. So that makes a lot of sense. So one of the things that you mentioned as you talked about your mindset shift, that really resonates in any industry is mentorship. The fact that someone was able to kind of just really plant a seed. It wasn't a formal mentorship. A lot of times people get it twisted and they're like, I gotta go ask somebody to be my mentor. But the fact that I don't know if you pick up on it as such.
Oh, I do.
Okay,
He saved my life.
That mentorship literally like gave you a seed, and what I want others to receive from it as your story is like you said you didn't have direction. It gave you direction. Like all you need, so as a sale, all you need is just to point in a certain direction and then continue. I'm like envisioning like a wind up toy. And if you if it's already if it's already winded, it might fall off the side of the thing. But if you give it direction, all it needs to do is take action, and you can set it in the right direction and go forward. That's powerful.
If it wasn't for me meeting him in his direction, the statement that we said at the beginning, for one, I wouldn't be on this podcast because the statement that I made wouldn't be true. I would have had to do something. My back would have been against the wall. So me saying that, me not knowing a job, I would have had to know a job or go back to the streets, which I'm sure I wouldn't have did. But so then I would have had to work. And because I look at some people who I grew up with, and I'd be looking at them, how they just so comfortable with working a job or just changing jobs, and just like, that just is what it is. That's what life is. That's what they've been doing since they got out of high school, to the point it's harder for them, even if they got dreams, it's harder for them to get to their dreams because they just working a job. And sometimes I get so like ahead of myself, like just thinking like, man, they tripping. Like, why are they so comfortable? And then I thought about it. I'm like, right, you just had some type of guidance, and at a young age, to the point you got guided down the right lane, to the point that's why you don't know a job, because you was making money cutting hair. You already figured out a way to make money and not have to go to a 9 to 5. So it's like he really saved my life. And it's crazy because now I hit him all the time randomly, like when I'm just appreciative, and I'm just like, bro, like, I appreciate you, man. Thank you. You don't know what you did to my life. Even with directing me, like, he just was a genuine like person. So I learned other things from him, like how to be like just an honest man, or just like a lot of things that help shape and mold me more like as a man. Like I grew up with a father, and sometimes it's harder to listen to your parents, or you may think that they just trying to be too strict or things like that. But he helped reinsure certain things that my daddy already taught me. And it made it more easier for me to listen to him because he was more closer to my age and like things like that. And he said it in a different way. So it was easier to pick up. But still to this day, I hit him and just saying how I appreciate him. And he don't really like taking the credit. He's like, no, like you did that, like little bro, like. And then he was like, now you motivate me. So it's crazy, like.
But see, that's the power of mentorship, because if you, like I said, go back to that wind up toy. If you think about it, all really a mentor does is like this. And then when you think about it, all the hopping, all that's nothing really to them.
Yeah.
But it's so powerful, that little shift.
That little shift.
So what the connection that I'm making is like, even though we're talking about you going into like barber school, you know, like this guidance is like literally needed at all levels. Because I think about some folks who, that's why my company is called Guided. My company is literally called Guided.
Full circle.
Yeah, like it's literally called, because people just need, there are so many successful people in this world by different standards of success who like just headed off a cliff making $100,000, but they're not guided by anything.
Yeah.
No one or someone or something, right? So I think that's just super powerful that you bring that up. It resonates at all levels, regardless. So you mentioned you had a father, right? And you also mentioned that you had a couple 9-to-5. So I'm just trying to figure out, if you never really wanted to work at a corporation and entrepreneurship was always a thing, why continue to put yourself through that? Was it like your upbringing? Like,
to put myself through what, like trying to work at those jobs?
Yes. What was that?
I only did it a couple times when like I say I didn't pass my barber test within 8 years. So in the midst of that, when you don't got your barber license, it's harder to find you only pretty much can work at like, how can I say it? Like the ghetto barbershops that's the owner is just looking for somebody to pay him booth rent. Which 9 times out of 10, those shops is not really thriving in business. That the owner might be making money because he got a book clientele and he getting booth rent from other barbers. But as far as like walk-in traffic and just somewhere where a new barber or the new barber can build, it's not there. So I deal with a lot of situations like that, or I deal with a lot of situations where I was working at a good shop and me and the owner didn't see eye to eye, or like different things like that. So I was transitioning through different things, and like I got 2 kids, and it's like I had to survive somehow. So in these moments, I had to go work at like I had to go get my guard card to work security, or I worked at UPS. That's the job I walked out. Like I went to the bathroom and never came back. Yeah, like that was pure slavery. Like $12 an hour, and in California, you got to know what $12 an hour is. Like that. What's the minimum wage in Atlanta?
$7.50.
That's $7.50.
Yeah.
That's $7.50. Like converted in states. And they got you moving all these boxes, and I'll never forget it. Like it would just sound like working just sounds so crazy to me. I'll never forget this speech. Every morning they'll have like the supervisor rally us up in a group, and he'll get his speech like, today we have to move 60,000 boxes. UPS has never moved 60,000 boxes in a day. We only maxed out at 40. So that's number one. Like, how are you telling us we got to move 60,000 boxes? You saying it's never been done. You know how long UPS has been a company, a brand? What makes you think that we about to move 20,000 extra boxes today? Then on top of that, the belts will be broke. Like a lot of the belts, like, cause you got to put the boxes on the belts to move it to the next station in the factory. The belts will be breaking. So it's like, y'all want us to move extra boxes, extra 20,000, and the belts is breaking. And then the last thing that really stuck with me is that he'll always speak about working at a high performance to the point so that you can move up. And he like kind of brag about like, that's how he got there. He'd been working there for 15 years. And so I do my research. He only get paid $30 an hour. You've been working here 15 years and you maxing out at $30 an hour. At this time, this is like 2012. So when I entered the barber game, it was about $15 to $20 a cut. So I'm already getting $15 for a haircut. 2 haircuts an hour, that's $30. If I got the customers, I'm already capable of making $30 an hour. I'm not waiting 15 years to make $30. Your job ain't even appealing to me. So I just start to think like, this is always a dead end, like with jobs. It's not nothing you want to do. Like you want to be wealthy. So I'd rather just leave and go figure out and start my process, like I'm not scared of failing.
Yeah.
So I fell forward. Like when I start my motivational speaking, that's what I'm gonna start off with. Like I specialize in failing.
Tell me this. So I mean, I kind of feel like, so I don't have kids, so I'm not like I'm not gonna sit here and act like I know that life. But what I will say is, you had this entrepreneurial mindset, and when you failed the the barber test, like why not just create a brand back then? Like 7 years starting, like why didn't you just create a brand then?
I mean, I did have the brand, but it started from like, okay, backstory. So I started cutting hair. I graduated in 2012. So I didn't have my license, but I'm working as a barber in 2012. 2014, 2 years later, I was watching ATL one day. It's crazy because I'm in Atlanta.
Right.
I'm watching ATL, and the part where T.I. tell his little brother, you don't got to be a dope boy to have money. That clicked with me because, like I said, I had a mindset shift and I left the streets alone. And now I'm making money legally. And I'm starting to just like pay attention to a lot of entrepreneurs or people who make money legally and they still successful. They either making more money than people in the streets or making just as much. So I wanted to paint that picture to other people. So what I did was, and it was around the same time I was introduced to like Nipsey Hussle. I was listening to Nipsey Hussle and I was seeing what he had going on with his clothing brand. So I seen it was possible to put a positive message on a shirt and sell it.
Okay.
So I put the you don't got to be a dope boy to have money on shirts. And I would go into like barbershops and beauty salons and sell them. And I sold the first 50 like quick within like a week. Then I had like barber clippers and like combs and stuff to resonate to the hair people. But then I wanted to reach more people. So I just took that off and I put like a basketball, a man in a suit, a construction worker, a microphone, like things like that to relate to more people. And I bought 100 of those and those sold out within like 2 to 3 weeks, like pretty quick. So now I'm like, man, I really can do this or whatever. But I didn't have a brand name. So I would just think about certain things that match me. Like I would come up with like executors, motivators, but it just, that was weak to me. Like, yeah, I'm like, nah, that ain't it. So shout out to my son, mom. She actually gave me the name for my brand Evryseason. She was like, you know what? I'm gonna pray on it and ponder on it and sit on it and come back to you with something. And she was like, you should call your brand Evryseason, because from the time I know you into the time now, I watch you go through all different type of seasons in life, and you just always keep pushing. You never quit. You overcome like the obstacles that life throws you.
Yeah.
And then when I first heard it, I'm like, no, that's trash. Like, no. But then like all that day I was thinking about it, and then I slept on it, and I'm like, you know what, I'm just gonna take one of the E's out in every. And I wrote it down, and I liked how it looked. And I was like, yeah, Evryseason. And I just been pushing it ever since. So I did have my brand within that time, and from 2014 till now, I just feel like as I was going through that in the barber industry, failing my test, it made my brand more like, give it more substance, because it's like it really was my lifestyle, like Evryseason. Like I just won't quit. I remember people telling me like, why don't you just get a job, or maybe that's a sign from God that you keep failing. And I'm just like no. I'm already halfway in the barber game. I'm making money from it. I see my other friends making money from it. It's like I gotta get there if I can just get this piece of paper.
Yeah.
So yeah, I did. I already had the brand.
Okay, so you had the brand 7 years later. You were in the barbershop, and now, so let's get a timestamp. So you got your certificate when?
2 years ago, 2019.
2019. Got you. And you created the brand, what, 7 years before that?
2014.
You created the brand 2014. So now it's been 2 years that you got your license. The brand has been solid. So what does a day in the life look like for you now that you're actual barber and you have your brand? Do you feel like you're now like at a place where this is a milestone for you?
I'm doing good for myself in life, but I'm definitely like, I just had to find balance with wanting more and then understanding that you did good for yourself and you had a good place. Like I would find myself in depression, in deep depression, because I'm not where I wanted to be in life. But I just like realized that I was in depression because I was letting my ambition, like, I don't know if somebody else ever dealt with this or dealing with this, but like you can be so ambitious and like want so much for yourself to the point it can have you depressed because you're not really looking at how far you came or how much work you put in.
Yeah.
That's why you shouldn't look at other people's success. You should put your blinders on and just pay attention to your own story. Cause like I would look at other people and be like, man, I'm trying to get there, or if I can just do this for my family, or I'm looking at people buy their mom houses, or looking at people take they kids to other states and just living better. But it's like I remember a time where I was homeless and I used to be with my kids on the couch or have pallets on the floor, and it's like you worked hard enough to get your own place, and it was times that even when I got my own place, I didn't know how I was going to make rent. And then it's like now you know guaranteed that your rent going to be paid and you got money to do other things and things like that. So it's like those are my steps. Like that's progression. Like that's doing good in life. You always want to grow.
Yeah.
But I'll just be stuck in depression because I'm so not all the way there yet. So I had to balance out my ambition and knowing that I did good for myself. It's like, yes, okay, continue to want more. Don't get comfortable, but also be happy and grateful for where you at right now.
Yeah. I think so. This is not for nothing, because I think your story, especially as we think about you and your journey as a motivational speaker, all of this goes together. But I'm just curious, like when I think about your upbringing, right? Like you said, so all we know right now is you had a father. You said you had a father. Did you grow up with your mom too?
Yeah, I grew up with my mom, but I was with my dad more.
Okay. So I'm just curious, how does a man, I guess, how does a man who's raised by his dad, at least, end up like kind of like experiencing homelessness as an adult? Like what does that trajectory look like?
Basically, if your parents not in a good position in life, and you grown, what are you gonna do? You left to fend for yourself. So it's like right before I got out of high school, my dad and my auntie ended up losing my grandma's house. She had passed away, and then like 2 years later, they lost the house due to like certain fees and taxes and certain stuff that I was a little bit younger. I don't really understand it all. Either my granny owed and she passed away and she had a certain way of keeping it and they didn't know how to keep it, or they did something and all I know is that the family house was gone. Yeah.
So are you saying that you kind of grew up until that point? You grew up with like
No, I didn't grow up good.
Not well off. You weren't like middle class. What would you say it was?
We just got by. Either we were struggling or just got by. It was never doing good.
That's the interesting part about like generational wealth. When we think about generational wealth within the Black community, like there's so many, generations where like our grandparents had the house, had the business. They did so much to like get the deed. And then like the next generation didn't necessarily like pass that. Either they didn't have the knowledge or
a lack of financial literacy. That's what it was. And it's crazy because now I be thinking about stuff I be learning about houses and what to do and certain stuff like that. I'm like, man, I was next up after my dad to have this, like what I could have did with certain things like that. But even though that I like grew up in poverty and always just getting by and certain things like that, I had a great father. Like I didn't notice it until I was grown. Like I used to hate my dad as a kid growing up. Like, and like I literally mean hate. Like I used to think that he was too mean, too strict, like I just didn't like him. I mean, like honestly. But as I got older and I seen like, soon as life hit, like everything he taught me start to come back to me. Like I start to see it in life. And now it'd be like, he just wanted the best for me the whole time. Like even when it come to being an entrepreneur, like the reason why I believe it and I know it's possible so much is because of my dad. Before Instagram, before I seen a Nipsey Hussle, before I seen people from Atlanta making money, before I seen people from Philadelphia, I seen my dad do it. Like in Oakland, my dad had the first food truck, like literally the first food truck. It started off in a station wagon. He would make the food, him and the lady he was with at the time, and we'd drive from East Oakland, West Oakland, North Oakland, and sell the plates. And then he eventually get in a food truck. I seen my dad have a jumper business where he rent jumpers. He had a moving business. He like hustled in the street. So it's like all I seen growing up was entrepreneurship. So it's like I knew it was possible. So it's like the job thing it was never really in me.
I got you. So when you think about like your future, right? Setting yourself up for being able to tell your story and then being able to touch other people, what is your like, and I'm not sure, like maybe you have to tell me, because I know part of the process of becoming a speaker is like digging into your story, getting real comfortable with like the nitty gritty details and stuff. But at where you are right now as a speaker, like do you feel like, what do you feel like is your message? You know what I mean? Like, I know you have Quitters Never Win, right? And your brand is Evryseason because you have been through Evryseason, right? But then when you reach out to young people who just need that motivation, like how do you package that message into a young person?
I'm still figuring out how to articulate it the best way. But something just came on me today at the speaker conference, and I'm gonna use it like this. I'm gonna tell them I specialize in failing. So if you feel like a failure, if you feel like you're not good at nothing, if you feel like you always counted out, if you feel like I specialize in failing. You don't have to have the best, you don't gotta be the most talented, you don't gotta be the smartest, you don't gotta be the most well-connected. All you gotta do is have enough endurance and perseverance to pick yourself up and keep pushing. And failing is nothing but data. So you just learning what not to do. Even when it comes to barbering, like that's why I can cut hair so well, because I learned what not to do. I didn't learn like from people good things. Like literally when I'm cutting hair, I can cut hair an unorthodox way and still cut out good because I learned what not to do. And the same thing with life. Like I'm not the smartest person. Like I'm not organized. I don't have certain skills that other people got, but my skill is being able to pick myself up every time and try again. And I find myself seeing in life the most talented people, the most smartest people, that's all they missing is that one gift, to the point it will take them to the next level. So it's like that's really a unique gift to have. Like that's my gift. It's being able to take the L's, to get punched in the face and get back up. It's like I was that kid who, when people used to be like, man, you think you can jump off that building, jump off that and flip over that, and like whatever somebody say that's crazy, everybody be like, well, I can't do that. And I'd be like, I can. Even if I knew in the back of my head, I probably couldn't. I just don't feel like it don't sit well with me saying I can't do something. Or like it can be the biggest person in the room and he'll be like, I'll beat all y'all up. I'm gonna be that one person that be like, you're not gonna beat me up. Like you're gonna have to do it. Like, so it's like, now I look back and I think about that And I'd be like, you always kind of been like this. So it's like endurance. I want to, the ones who already feel like failures and been through so much and feel like nothing, you already been through a lot in life. So you have to take that pain and take the letdowns and the obstacles in life and just keep pushing. Like you already a survivor. Like that's your niche in life.
Gift. Yeah, that's your skill set. When I used to go to, so there's a shelter here. Actually, there's one not in Oakland, but in California, there's one called, it's Covenant House. So it's a shelter, it's a homeless shelter for young people experiencing homeless, 18 to 24. And I feel like that's one of those things that, you know, the first thing that they will tell you when you're working on a resume, right? I've never had a job. I've never done nothing. And I feel like what you're saying is tapping into your unique gifts, your unique story. There's something in there.
Yeah.
And then I feel like even just hearing like quitters never win. If I'm here meeting you at 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, you're at a shelter, so what? You literally decided to go all the way to the shelter and find help. Now we're sitting here at a computer and we're getting like this resume together. Now all we got to do is get you in the right direction. I kind of feel like you could take your story and you can do it literally what I did, but I think they would resonate with you a lot differently because they would look at me, okay, that's Miss Ari from Delta. Okay. Yeah, she never been through nothing that I've been through. She don't know so technically I'm like, okay, yeah, I never walked in your shoes. But you and I are essentially saying the same thing. I just think they'll hear you.
Yeah.
I think they'll hear you differently.
Yeah. I feel like when people go through so much in life, like they may not have the opportunity in certain things like that, but they got an upper hand on a lot of people because, like for instance, I can obtain a better lifestyle right now. I can get $1 million or a bigger house or whatever, and if I lose that or if something go wrong, of course I'm going to be upset, and of course I'm going to be like, it's going to be a big blow, but it won't break me because I've already seen adversity in life. I've already seen the struggle before.
Yeah.
So it's just about picking yourself back up. It's some people who will jump off a bridge if they lose their lifestyle and certain things like that. They just can't handle it.
And I built that way.
They can't take what people going to think or them having to show people they not in a Benz no more. Now they catching Uber or driving a old Toyota, like things like that. Like, so I feel like people who's wired like that, who can pick themselves up and deal with the adversity, you got an advantage already because in life, it's gonna be a storm. I don't care who you are. I don't care how good your life is. It's gonna be some type of storm. So if you can weather those storms, then you got an advantage. So I just want to tell people, and my message is to use that in your advantage, and whatever it is your dream is, don't just stay complacent in one place. Like move towards your dream and take that pain and just keep pushing. Like E.T. said, you already felt the pain. It already hurt. It hurt to push yourself towards your dreams, and it hurt to not live your dream. What's hurt you gonna pick?
Absolutely.
That's how I look at it.
So we were talking earlier about your niche and like, you know, the lane that you want to be in. And we were talking about how in Oakland, like the population of homelessness is actually ridiculous. I mean, it's bad here in Atlanta, but because everything is so spaced out, you don't see the concentrated homelessness here. But like, would you ever think about leveraging like your speaking career to go speak to other young people who are experiencing homelessness, who just like don't necessarily have that motivation? Granted, there are contracts out there for you can go so that you can go to talk to like nonprofits and stuff.
Yeah.
But would you consider that being a lane?
Yeah, I would think that it would be more likely for me to do like young homeless people, because I feel like, not saying that older people don't have action in life, but I feel like if you're older and you're homeless, like statistically, I would think that majority of them just they stuck at where they at. Like they don't see anything further.
I would say they're probably more stuck, but I believe everybody can change, but it just takes a little bit more to get you up out of there.
Yeah, I would say that I feel like more of them probably gave up on their dreams already.
I believe you. I hear you.
Yeah, not trying to say that it's not like, because I know that as long as you wake up, you got another opportunity to get it right.
Yeah.
But I'm saying, just me, what I would.
You'd rather tap into a young person
Yeah.
experiencing homelessness.
Because it's like, man, you could turn it around like that.
Mm-hmm.
A year worth of grinding, your life would be totally different.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's something I would like to do, because I want to give hope to the hopeless.
Yeah. I mean, and the crazy thing is, it's a lot easier to make money than it was 7 years, 8 years ago for you. Well, actually, that's 10 years, because it took you 8 years to get the barber's license. That's 2 years from then. So
Yeah, money,
it's way easier.
It's definitely way easier, because I just was telling myself that while I was out here, like, spending money on flights and the Airbnb and like food and Uber. It's just like, bro, you're not in the same space that you were. You got your barber license, you work at a great shop. All you have to do is get back home and get back to it. You'll have your money like right back. Like, money is just a tool. Like, I'm trying to get out of that. The more I be around wealthy people and do more wealthy things, I'm trying to get out of the mindset of just David Shannon said it. He was talking about just holding on to money. It's like, what are you gonna do with it? Like, it's a tool. Like, if you're not investing, saving, or like, what are you gonna do with it? Just hold on to it. Like, it ain't doing nothing for you.
Right.
So, yeah, I had to change my mindset in that.
I love it. Is that why you have ambition tattooed on your arm? When did you get that?
I got this when I was 22. Like, I'm not even a tattoo type person. I don't know, just seeing a lot of people getting tattoos, and probably listening to girls talking about, oh, you would look nice with tattoos. That's probably what it was.
Well, the one thing is, at least you chose a good one.
Yeah, if I was gonna put something on me, it definitely had to be.
It can't hurt to have ambition. That's a good.
But I did something crazy, like always trying to be so different. I got these the same day. I got ambition on this side, and then I got child of God on here, but I got it in 2 different fonts. Just me not really knowing about tattoos and like thinking I'm being cool.
Yeah, now you look down and be like, oh, what was I thinking? Yeah. It's always a reminder.
Yeah, it's okay.
Well, that's cool though.
So they both mean something to me.
Exactly. Like, that's why I say, like, if it's gonna be anything, at least you got 2 affirmations to look at. It might be not aesthetically pleasing as you would like it to be, but it's still affirmations nonetheless.
Definitely.
Yeah. So, as we think about, people who are still in their stuck position, right? And they still haven't figured out what their balance of, like, even starting to reach towards like self-fulfillment and tap into their gifts and their abilities. I always like to finish off our episodes with a word. You know what I mean? To just say to someone who is somewhere, probably still in their 9 to 5, probably don't even have the courage to leave on their lunch break, but need to be set free. What would you say to kind of reach back to that person and help them out?
Basically, like 2 different things. First thing I would say is to not live a dream is to live in hell. So if you're not living your dream, you living in hell, which is why people wake up daily, unhappy, empty, feeling like they don't mean nothing to the world. Is because you're just waking up every day on accident, just going through the motion. You're not going towards nothing that's fulfilling to you. Some people do it for so long they forget they dream. Somebody could be like drawing in high school, and then it's just like they just stopped because the real world kicked in, survival mode. So I would say that to not live your dream is to live in hell. And nobody's gonna feel sorry for you. So if you're just waiting around, waiting for a miracle to happen, it's not gonna happen. Faith without works, dead. So it's like, you can think a miracle gonna happen, it's not happening. You gotta want it. And to want it, you gotta start. So it's like, what are you gonna do? It all boils down to you. And I'm talking to myself now, because I be having to tell myself this. Like I said, I used to wake up depressed because I wasn't at a certain place in life. But now I don't wake up depressed anymore. Like, I'm in a great space in life because either I worked and I did something to further myself towards my dream, or I didn't, and I'm okay with that. And the only reason why I'm okay with that if I didn't is because then I have to go look in the mirror and I have to hold myself accountable. And I know that today you didn't do nothing to further yourself to your dreams, and it's nobody's fault. It's not the system fault. It's not your parents' fault. It's not nobody's fault. It's your fault. And now that I hold myself accountable for that, life goes way smoother.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that every day I be good at it. The days that I'm not, I literally just go in the mirror and I tell myself, that's your fault. You wasted a day. You didn't get this done. You could have did this, but you didn't. And it's like I just wake up the next day and I even if I do it 2 days in a row, like, all right, now you just killed 2 days. So don't be complaining when you're not getting sales for your brand. If you can't do this for your kids, if you're not closer to it, you be mad at yourself. Yeah. And when you hold yourself accountable, it makes things smoother because it's like you don't got no excuses. You're not pointing the finger. So nobody gonna feel sorry for you. You got to make the decision to want more for yourself.
That's a word. That's a word. So I definitely received something from that. So if you didn't receive anything, then I think you might just need to replay this, pause it, take your notes, because it was definitely a word. And I appreciate you so much for joining me on this couch.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, telling your story,
giving
us a different perspective of what it looks like to really be like ruthless about it. I mean, like when you said that, I was like, whoa, he's speaking. You know how we say in the morning meetup, you speaking spicy. You're talking about you never had the loyalty to a company. Like I cringed the first time I typed out my 2 weeks notice. I was like, what? And I just, had to trust God. But it was exposure for me just to even do that. Because I was, anywho, that's a whole nother story. So
I bet on myself way back then when I didn't even have it figured out.
Yeah.
I just always had that crazy courage and confidence. Mm-hmm. And it still ain't worked out all the way. But I'm in a process for it working out, and I see it getting closer and closer. Mm-hmm. So I'm thankful for me taking that step and having that courage.
Yeah. Well, what brings us together is we both decided to invest in ourselves. We both here at the same conference. We both here at the same, literally pouring into ourselves.
Yeah.
So if there's nothing else nobody else can take from this, you need to invest in yourself, because at the end of the day, you are accountable for your ups and your downs.
Definitely.
So without anything else, if y'all haven't got nothing else, like I said, replay this video, do what you got to do. But until next time, peace out, guys. Oh, before we get out of here, how can the folks get in contact with you? We can't get out of here without them.
You guys can follow me on Instagram at Evryseason. Everyseason, only one E. Evryseason. Facebook, Keandre Jari. And if you want to purchase some motivational clothing from the brand, Evryseason.com. Evryseason.com.
That's right. Thank you. Thank you for joining me. Thank you guys so much for listening, and thank you for watching. Until next time, peace out, guys. Hey guys, it's Ariel from the Work and Play podcast. If you're getting any value from this channel, and I mean anything from the tutorials to the podcast to the random videos that you see on this channel, then I just ask that you do one thing. Please subscribe. Subscribe and share this to anyone that you think this resonates with, and drop a comment below so I know what other things that you want to see next. Now let's get back to the episode.